come on inside. Taking that ride to nowhere. We'll take that ride. I'm feeling okay this morning. And you know, we're on the road to paradise. Here we go, here we go. There's a city in my mind. Come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. Would you like to come along, and you can help me sing this song, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. There's a city in my mind. Come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day. It's alright, baby, it's alright. They could tell you what to do, but they'll make a fool of you, and it's alright, baby, it's alright.
Hello everyone, I am just sharing this link while some people join. I see a few of you. Hello. I'm just going to share this. Busy out here. That's why we had Jesse make the song. Shout out to Jesse Judd for that beautiful voice and beautiful song he made for us. That's why we had him do a 90-minute, because I'm a little slow putting stuff out there. So, let's see. And don't forget, we are live out in Rockfin as well. We're trying to get away from a certain thing right now because they are not very indie media friendly, to say the least. So this could be like a 5-hour show because so much shit went on this week. It's been insane. So it's not very easy to go through and pick odds and ends. I had to really spend time narrowing shit down. And oh my God, okay. I, for the first time in months, do not have a single thing on Andrew Yang, because I cannot stand how much I focus on his stupidity, and it keeps distracting me from other things. So I had to mute him because I wasn't following him, but it kept showing me his tweets because I kept sharing them to make fun of him. So it was kind of like I was following him. So yeah, that's done. At least for now.
Yeah.
I may very well give in, go through withdrawal of, his complete idiotic nonsense. But for now, I'm on a hiatus. So tonight's guest, I just adore, Miss Amira. We do Wednesday panels together sometimes on Fred Hampton Leftist and Populist Voice Network. Wednesdays you can join every other week Fred Hampton Leftist and every other week Populist Voice Network. And basically we do them at 5:30 and at 8 p.m. There's typically about 6 to 8 of us or so who do a panel and discuss, typically like 2 or 3 topics that are happening currently, and just kind of give our takes and our perspectives. And it's been really interesting and really educational. All of us have different backgrounds and different, I don't want to say different ideologies because we're all leftists, but we definitely have different perspectives because we come from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
But in any case, Amira, thank you so much for joining. Why don't you give the audience a heads up? What, kind of a breakdown, and you're a writer as well, so definitely promote what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here, Joy. I absolutely love you and your attitude and your outlook on everything. It's really great to be here. Yeah, I'm a writer. I have a blog called Endemic Times. I started it last year at the start of the pandemic because, like very many, I was unemployed and was trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with the experience that I had and an education that I felt I wasn't able to capitalize on at even before the pandemic. And so I just wanted to kind of figure out what was going on in the world because it was really crazy, and I had the time and energy to put forward some pieces. And I've spent a good year and a half now putting out as much work as I can. I am a one-woman show, essentially, doing all this by myself. And it's just covering different topics that are going on. So I've done a couple of investigatory pieces, some like legal analyses, political analysis pieces, and then just kind of where my mind's at on different things. Because there's some topics I'll get a little bit more heated about and passionate about that I want to cover, and then others that I want to take a more like methodical approach and really kind of go through some of like the legalese and the political aspects of things. So yeah, I'm excited to be here and look at this week's news, and yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know, not to curse it, but I don't know how much we're going to disagree on because we always seem to be pretty.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be more of a conversation than a debate, we'll say. But
well, I think even conversations are good because, we're not going to see eye to eye on everything, but just coming at it from a non-combative point of view and giving people that to look at, I think kind of helps people figure out how do they think about, a certain politician or a policy or an ideology, and it might help them to better convey what they believe. So I think conversations are great. I think we need more of those.
absolutely, there's not a lot of discourse, and that's what's so wonderful about the panels we do, and
Yeah.
also why I asked Logan and Andrew to do a show with me, because we do have different perspectives, and it makes for good discourse, because while we're not like totally like no, we're very like that's a good point, but also look at it like that kind of, and it's actually really good to explore other avenues. And we're all very passionate, but maybe sometimes someone will say something that is a little more nuanced or what have you. There's no shame in exploring other hot takes. So Andy is my buddy. He is this week's news engineer. So thank you, Mr. Andy. Can you share the first video, please? So I know it was kind of quick, but what happened was this gentleman was laying on the floor, and a cop proceeded to jump on him and go numerous times, even though he was already laying on his stomach. And he was out cold. And he was a homeless man. They were attacking people in homeless camps. Who have no other place to go, of course, and it's cold, and how dare they lay there in a park, a public park, in, tents and sleeping bags, and the cops it's New York, by the way. The cops decided to go and completely trash the encampment and brutalize some of the homeless people there. This is not new. It's not an isolated incident. We see it a lot in New York, California, even smaller states. Mira, what's your take when you see something like that?
Oh, I mean, like, first my reaction was like, I kind of needed to look away a little bit because it emotionally, it's so charged. It's like, I'm like, as a fellow human, I don't know how you could do that to another human being. Like, you might be angry, you might be frustrated, but these are policemen. They are in a position of extreme power, and that they feel that they have every right to go up to a person who doesn't have a home, who does not have shelter. One of the core things that we need as humans to survive, and to just pound on them is so inhumane, and it's very heartbreaking. And yeah, it's so intense, and I feel like I have a lot of empathy and can feel a lot of energies from people. And this is one of the areas where I do not understand the cruelty that people are so quick to inflict on another person when they have their own agency. So, like, as a police officer, you have a lot of protections of yourself, and you have weapons, you have support around you. And this is one man who's struggling. It's like, there's a reason why he's there. There's a reason why he's on the street and doesn't have a home and doesn't have food. And it's because of our fucked up system. And it's to be hurting someone to that extent when we have created that is just, it's so cruel, and it breaks my heart.
Absolutely. And I can't help but think, Cori Bush, did you see this video? Did you see it? Because if you did, where are you? Like, the theatrics at the Capitol were nice and good and everything, even though, the moratorium ended like early again. But, that was all nice and good. But, like, where are you? Having been homeless yourself, where are you in situations like this? Where are you when it comes to protecting the homeless? Where are you when it comes to places like, I forget what it was, Eddie Bauer, I believe, who threw out last season's comforters and saw a homeless person taking one and decided to literally make slits in every single comforter so that homeless people could not take them. So they literally would rather them be utter garbage than give them to homeless people because they are that capitalist bourgeoisie. So you know what the homeless people did? They still fucking used them.
Yeah.
In them. And it was heartbreaking because you're like, wait, these fuckers have a bajillion dollars. All their shit's overpriced. It's all, just like beige bullshit. And, they're going to cut slits in them so that homeless people can't. Like, that kind of shit blows my mind. So, Cori, having been homeless, where are you? Where are you speaking out about this shit? It's not isolated incidents.
And that's where it's such a failed representation of this so-called diversity in the House and in the Senate and in Congress. And that is one of the things that has been pissing me off the most about the squad. It's that it's so disingenuous because we need diversity. We need people that have had a working class and poor and immigrant background that can come into these positions of so-called power so that they can actually affect change. But the problem is that none of them are actual advocates. They want to place their victimhood on a pedestal and say, vote for me because I look like you, I talk like you, and I've been on the streets like you. But when push comes to shove, they're not there. And that was one of the most disheartening things that we saw when it came to the eviction moratorium, unemployment benefits getting cut off. These are people that have said that they have benefited from these programs, and they understand the trials and tribulations that people suffer, but they're nowhere when you actually need it. And they shit on the activists that are actually trying to do something, that are setting up these Medicare for All marches, the General Strike Summit this weekend. It's like, where are you? You've said that we need to coalesce and garner as much support on the outside so that you guys on the inside can do what you need. And it shows what it is, and it's theater, it's performance. But what's so sad is that people believe them and still support them and put their hard-earned money towards their campaign, that someone like AOC, oh, I'm just going to give it to establishment Democrats. Well, then what the hell did we give? Like, why are people voting for you if this is what you're going to do?
Yeah, I can't. I'm still blown away that when that article came out, which she still never addressed, by the way, how she gave $100 to shit lib establishment candidates, how nobody ever trended like refund AOC or something. Because remember when Elizabeth Warren, accused Bernard of, saying she shouldn't run for president because she's a woman and stuff, and everyone knew it was bullshit. Even her own supporters knew it was bullshit.
I mean, she could hardly keep a straight face. It was ridiculous.
Oh my God. She was like, don't shake my hand twice. I was like, oh my God.
It's pure theater. It's pure theater. I mean, it's like they should be in Hollywood because they're excellent actors. They've been taught by the absolute best. It's mad.
Well, when she did that shit, it was trending like refund Warren, #refund Warren or something. So I'm expecting that shit for AOC. Like, if I give you money and you give it to establishment people who are, have already been in office for years and they haven't done shit, I'm getting a refund for that shit. And I saw nothing. I didn't see a single person say, I want my donation back. Not one person. And I'm like, you know what? This is fucking bullshit. Like,
we never really got a clear explanation on how she got to the Met Gala, because she tried to say that it was like donated tickets or something like that. And like someone had to come out and say, no, we don't do that. And it's like, we've never gotten, I think, a firm answer on that either. So it's just,
they came out and said that wasn't?
I don't think it was the Met Gala itself, but like there was some, I don't want to be like disingenuous in like talking about this, like, because I could be wrong, but I vaguely remember that she had tried to say that her tickets were like a donation of some kind. And there was an official statement that came out. It could have been from the Met Gala, but it was saying that we do not gift tickets and things like that. And then the whole thing of trying to say that the person who made her dress was an immigrant who's actually from Canada, comes from a pretty affluent background. It's like it's that whole thing of just performative politics, using these labels that they have created to push their narrative. It's exhausting, because it's like you want people to see this, like you want people to, like, you want to shake them and be like, wake up, like, why don't you see this? And it's just it's gonna just take time, and sadly it's gonna be more people doing the wrong thing, like seeing that she's doing the wrong things, as well as the squad, to see and have that wake up moment, because it is truly like, it has to be an individual thing. Like, you have to wake up and want to wake up. So we shall see.
Absolutely. Oh, well, as much as I hate her voice, we have a AOC clip coming up at some point. Do you want to hit the next one, Andy? This is going to be crying in the fetal position after the show. I just feel it.
Sending stuff over to the Senate. Well, most of the product that we've done is, except now we may have added in the last day or so. And some of what we added is Senate to the bill, like a hearing. Bernie doesn't like hearing. Excuse me, Bernie loves hearing. Manchin doesn't want hearing in the bill and all that stuff. So some is Senate oriented, and then we had the family medical leave. We figured if they're putting things in, then we can put something in.
What
If
the
even if
hell?
Manchin doesn't like it. So, so we are getting some bird and privilege. I think mostly we're getting privilege scrub, because privilege scrub is deadlift to a bill. Bird is important. It's you have to take it out, but privilege violation can take you out. So we're again getting that as we go along as well. But when we pass a bill, then they will see it in its aggregate and make some.
Any concerns that any of this is quote messaging because that they have to
Oh my
take
God, I'm
some of those
horrified.
things out regardless, no matter what you send over? You said you weren't going to
water's
send
not
a
gonna help, man.
messaging bill.
No, we're not sending messaging bill, but we want to be sure that what we send is not birdable or bird bath or privilege scrub. They're the two exercises we're engaged, bathing exercises we're engaged in, and we're getting good response. There's no bad answer. You know, it is what it is. There's certain objects.
What is that?
Wait.
There's no bad answer. Look.
Good
bird
morning.
bath or privilege scrub, but what the fuck is a bird bath or privilege scrub? Oh my God. And I'm not trying to sound ableist. I don't know what that was. I don't know. And it's not ageism because my man Bernie is 80 as well. My dad is 80 as well. That's not ageism. I don't know what the hell that was, but.
Good morning.
What?
Sunday morning. That's what I have going through my head. It's like, and they wonder why people have like crazy theories about these politicians and like what's really going on with them and everything. It's like, because you guys do something like this where we just like don't even know who you are and like, are you a human at this point? Like, it's
lizard people.
I have no idea what the hell any of that was. Yeah.
Bernie doesn't like hearing. Bitch, what brought Bernie up? What the fuck are you talking about?
It's like, maybe you need a hearing aid. Like, do you hear yourself? Jesus.
Bernie doesn't like hearing. What the fuck are you talking about? She sounds more like Biden every fucking day. Okay, like let's just be real. She's at the long pauses, the random words. About a month or two ago, she did this thing where she was trying to share this feel-good story about this little boy that was in a convenience store, and he went to say "Open Sesame" to the door, but instead he said "Open Biden." Sounds very real. Sounds like it totally happened. And she was trying to explain this. She's like, "Open Biden, I love that. I told him I really like that, Open Biden." It made no sense. It obviously never happened. And that's something Biden does. Like, he's the same kind of shit, like, all the time. It's fucking weird. And, like, you look at, like, Trump, when he said Kafifi or Comfifi or whatever it was.
Kafefi, yes.
It was, like, months of Kafifi. It's like, yeah, he's fucking stupid and it was a typo, okay? But like something like this, like bird bath and privilege scrub, what the fuck? And nobody's talking about it.
Well, and that's why these attacks that have come from the Democrats over the 4 years that Trump was in office, it was like, okay, thanks for being forceful against the president and having some dissenting opinions and calling him out on his bullshit. Because it's like, there's a lot to judge about Trump. And for me, I was like, okay, all right. I'll see your guys' attacks, but then what are you gonna do when it's your side? And that's where it's been so obvious that it's in such bad faith. There are attacks against Trump and the Republicans and white supremacists and all of that stuff, because it's not about actually calling out everyone when you see corruption, when you see an inability to formulate a logical statement and response to a question. It's just, oh no, we're going to gaslight our base to think we're better and the Republicans are bad because the president didn't know how to say hamburger and said kofefi. It's like, you guys are making the case to the Republicans on how shitty you are because you continue to have these bad faith attacks where you're only attacking the other side, and it's not about having accountability and having a real like democratic voting and just government and the way everything works. It's just, it drives me crazy.
The one thing I always think of in discussions like this was a year and a half ago about it was 2019, and the DCCC, which is like the DNC's bastard child, they sent me something because I'm in Pennsylvania and you gotta register Dem to vote for a Dem. So, you know, to vote for Bernard, it's a fucking registered Dem. And I took 18 showers and it was awful and I hated myself, but I had to do it. Yeah. So then I got on the mailing list for the DNC because I had to register Dem. So DCCC sends me this thing in the mail, and literally on the envelope, it says DCCC, it's addressed to Joy, and it says, I mean, have you seen the other guys? Swear to you, that's what it fucking said. And I opened it, and it said it multiple times on the inside as well, and gave me a sticker.
Oh,
I'm like,
sticker.
Oh my God. That is all you have to say is like, we may be shit, but look, did you see how much shittier they are? Like, you're not even going to try and lie anymore. You're just like straight up like, look, we suck. But look
at least Republicans are shitty out in the open, whereas Democrats give you the facade of they're amazing, but then they do the same shit. And it's worse because unlike the Republicans who just kind of show you who they are, like they're pretty open about it. It's the Democrats. It's the Democrats that are just like, oh, we're going to be the arbiters of truth and good faith and tell people, you know, what they should and shouldn't be doing. But all in all, we're still going to give money to big corporations and big pharma and bail out BlackRock and all this kind of shit. Like, allow them to buy up homes and become America's landlord. It's just, it is so disingenuous, and it's why people are just exhausted and they're over all of it and they don't want to vote, and they're just, the apathy is real, the nihilism is real. It's really sad, to be honest, because it's like, it doesn't have to be this way. We could have a government that cares about its people, that has safety nets and social programs that are meant to facilitate aid and help to people that need it when they need it. Are there always going to be that group of people that just want to be horrible people and do awful things and just do drugs and all of that stuff? Yes. But when you provide people with a safety net and give them an opportunity to lift themselves up, it's not handouts. It's giving someone a helping hand when they need it, because you never know when that's going to happen to you. I mean, I watched a segment a couple of days ago of a woman who has been working in a homeless shelter for, I think it was like the last like 8 or 9 years. And she now herself is homeless. And she's like, I still work at this homeless shelter, and I have been trying to get help to people that are homeless. But now me and my family are homeless and they're living in their car. It shouldn't be like this in the United States. That's supposedly the richest country in the world. And it's rich because we don't tax the people that are making the most money and putting that money where it's needed. We just inflate our military budget and make bigger weapons and create more wars and then create more immigrants because they come here, because we've shit on their entire country and sanction them to death. It's a really bad cycle. And it's like Game of Thrones. Like, we got to break the wheel somehow.
Yeah,
we just don't have,
absolutely.
We don't have good faith actors in these high level positions.
Nope. Andy, do you want to go to the next one?
America is back at COP and on the international stage as a leader in climate action and drawdown. One thing that I think is so exciting about this time is that when we say that the United States is back, it's not just that we're back in the way that the United States was pursuing climate policy before. It is different. And I would argue that it's a fundamentally different approach.
Like, back to the way the climate change administration was before. Like, there never was one. So back to what? Doing nothing? She just makes no damn sense.
Yeah. And people will still applaud her and say, oh, good for you. You're speaking up and speaking truth. Well, what?
Yes, queen.
What did she say? She said nothing of substance. It's
Nothing.
just, Gamer for Life said, full of word salads. It's what she does. And it's what Pete Buttigieg does. Whatever the hell that was with Pelosi, I'll call that a word salad.
I've heard that. And that's AOC's next one. First it was, it's like a little Easter egg. And then it was the micro and the macro. And now
the knowns and the unknowns.
The knowns and the unknowns. And now it's going to be a bird bath. A privileged scrub.
Oh, gosh.
That's what it's going to be. Like, stop with the fake voices. It's fucking annoying. Stop. You're cute. You're pretty. You're young. We get it. Give us something more.
Well, and like when she does like her Instagram stories and it's like zooming into her face and she's just like, oh, look at me. Like, I'm just like, I don't get it. I mean, her and I are almost the same age. I'm a couple years older than her, but it's just so vapid. It drives me crazy because it's like you're in a position where you should be making change. You should be causing that freaking ruckus that you said you were going to do. And you have over 12 million freaking followers. Like, you could galvanize so much support and change within an instant. She could send out a tweet, meet us at the, in front of the White House. Mm-hmm. How many hundreds of thousands of people would show up? That's where it just drives me crazy. You have power and you're not using it. That's why the Tea Party was popular on the Republican side, because they were actually doing the shit that they said that they were going to do. Now, was it good for everyone? Absolutely not. And it's the same thing with Trump. People just wanted something different because they're tired of the same damn thing. And they want someone that will come in and advocate for them. It's just, they have the most opportunities right now. Like, the pandemic was such a moment in time to make real transformative change. We can start UBI and getting people money every month. Like, it doesn't have to be forever. It just, like, during the pandemic. And if you want to means test it, then fine. Like, give it to people that are making less than $75,000 a year. I don't know. But it's just, we had a chance to get Medicare for all and UBI and actually like support people. But they don't want to show that the government can do that the government can help you, because it's all about this individuality and selfishness, and you've got to pick yourself up by your own bootstraps, and it's a meritocracy. And it's like, no, it's not. If you know someone that knows someone, then yeah, you're good. But if you don't, you're left out in the cold to try to fend for yourself and figure all of this out. It's bullshit. It drives me crazy.
Damn right, for sure. Indy, what else you got?
If only AOC were even half the threat the Republicans think she is. Yes. Yes.
I was just sitting there and I was looking at some of the, she was trending, of course. I click on it and I'm like looking at these Republicans going crazy, like the communist AOC is taking over the Democratic Party. And I'm like, where? Where are these commies? Where are these socialists? Where are these radicals? Like, bring them. Let's go.
Where's this pushing Biden left?
Oh, Biden's so great. He's doing so much transformative change.
You gotta look at the micro and the macro.
And the bird bath.
It's just, yeah. I
I'm
mean,
gonna
I
get
wish
reported for this. Like, I just feel
probably.
like someone's gonna be like, YouTube hate speech, hate speech. I can feel it.
This is violence.
This is violence.
Well, and it's like when the Capitol Police went to an activist's house because they retweeted a tweet of something else, and it's like, oh, but give them more funding. You're not on our side. They've never been on our side, and I think that's the sad part, that people aren't quite ready. Like, some are, but others aren't. They're not ready to come to the realization that these aren't the heroes we thought that they were. And for me, it's like, that's okay. Like, we're all wrong. We all make mistakes. We have the wrong perceptions of people. It's about, are you educating yourself? Are you being honest to yourself and being authentic in, yep, I made a mistake, or I supported the wrong person. And now that I'm better educated on this, I'm, not going to promote this person anymore because they don't espouse to the views that I thought that they were. And then you move on from there. It's like, no one wants to admit any fault. And I think that that's the big kind of like root of our issue in our society and our culture, because everyone is so competitive and they want to be number one and they want to be right. And it's like, well, you're not always going to be right. You're going to do the wrong thing, say the wrong thing, piss off someone that you didn't mean to piss off. And it's like, rather than just being a human and saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, I didn't mean to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. It's just all about like covering your ass and trying to act like you weren't wrong. But it's like what we've seen in history and even in like present day. When people are honest about making a mistake and they own up to it, it gets them more support because they're more real, they're more relatable, and people want that. You want to be able to relate to these people like celebrities. That's why, reality TV is so popular, because while you want to be in that, world of opulence and wealth, you also see sometimes yourself in these different characters. And it's the same thing for movies and shows and things like that. Being on a stage and having that big of a platform is really important, and it gives you a lot of power. It's just how that power gets used that's unfortunately why we're at where we're at, because too many people are using their platforms for their own selfish narcissistic gain, and it's never about supporting people. So like, my thing is, let's stop paying people in Congress and Senate and the House. What would happen if we stopped paying people to be in those positions?
Or stick them on $7.25.
Yeah. Whatever the federal minimum wage is, that's what you get. Whatever federal benefits are, that's what you get, which is nothing. So good fucking luck to you. It's like, yeah.
Are you still that passionate about doing what you do? Are you
Exactly.
like,
and it would weed out the good faith actors and those that are just doing this for celebrity and money and all of that.
Yeah, no doubt. Andy, you can put up the next. Okay, so we're not going to read this, obviously, but Amira and I both read it. Amira, can you actually just read like the first sentence? Well, first, why don't you give the breakdown of what this is? This is an email sent out by AOC. So, Amira, do you just kind of want to break down what overall it is?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up on my computer right now just so I can see it a little bit better. So basically, this was a statement that AOC came out with, and she was this is on Veterans Day, and she was with Jason Crow, a combat veteran on CBS, and they were telling their stories and their experience of events of trauma that they have personally had, and basically associating that to the events of January 6th. And I'm not going to opine on Jason just because it is Veterans Day, and I feel that we don't do enough for our servicemen and women when it comes to PTSD and mental health services that they need. And in this statement, he was talking about Afghanistan, and they were, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was talking about the monies that have been going from the Democrats in Congress and what they've been fighting for to give like $2.2 billion for homelessness prevention programs. We've got $2.2 billion for expanded services at VA facilities and $97.6 billion for boosts to veterans' health care. The problem, like you and I are going to get into, is this trying to pair the trauma of a sexual assault survivor and a military service member, that they're trying to connect these to January 6th, a one-day event that took place at the Capitol. It's not as good faith of a connection as I think people want this to be. And when I was reading this, I was really taken back because as a survivor myself, this is not how you talk about trauma. And it's not, at least for me personally. So I'll take that back. For me personally, as a survivor, when it comes to the trauma that I have experienced, as well as discrimination and just being a woman in this country, there's a lot of events that I've had in my life that have shaped the way that I am. And I find it very disingenuous to try to connect this to the supposed trauma of January 6th. Was that a serious event that is traumatic? Yes, I'm not going to doubt that. And I'm not going to critique anyone's perceptions of their trauma on that day. I just think that when we speak about survivors, we have to be very caring and careful about that. And I don't feel that was taken to heart with this statement. And it feels like she's just trying to put herself into that victim complex of, feel sorry for me. Now that's just me, and I'll admit I could totally be wrong. It's just, I don't think that this is the way that you go about doing that. There are so many critiques and valid things that need to be brought up about the way that veterans are treated, the way that active and non-active service members are treated in this country after they have given their service. And to try to conflate these two things, it really bothers me because it's two separate issues: veterans' rights and their mental health, their physical health, and then survivors and the way that they're treated in this society, and the way that women and men, when they come forward, the critiques that they get, the victim blaming that they receive. Doing something like this, I feel, just kind of detracts from that narrative, and it gives people that aren't wanting to believe people even more credence, because it's like, oh, look at her, she's just trying to make this about her. And that's their perception, and they have every right to feel that way. And so that's where I think that this is really troubling, and I really didn't like it.
Absolutely. Can you read the first, not the bold black, but the first like mini paragraph of the email?
Yes. So let's see. 309 days ago, our nation's capital came under attack. That was the big story. And inside that big story lies thousands of individual accounts just as valid and important as the other. Congressman Jason Crow shared that his experience of the events brought back memories of combat in Iraq and Afghanistan, while Alexandria shared that she experienced the events through the lens of being a survivor of sexual assault. They both agreed that there's a legacy to trauma and that it compounds. And then they go on to provide the statement by Congressman Crow.
So basically, the reason why I had Amir read that is because it starts out from the get as me. It starts out as my experience. It starts out as January 6th. Mm-hmm. It does not start out with, I am glad that Afghanistan, after 20 years, it does not start out that we have a bajillion, Air Force bases across the world. It doesn't start out that, 22 veterans commit suicide every day. It doesn't start out that I will stop voting for Trump's war budgets. It does not start out that I'm going to push Medicare for all so veterans have that help they need. It does not. I mean, there are a million ways she could have started that email,
Mhm.
and it started with me.
Yeah.
So that's the ego I'm always talking about with her.
Mhm.
Now, this is about veterans. I don't question January 6th was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Because if I were in the building, I would have been peeing my pants.
Yeah.
That's a separate issue.
Mhm.
That has nothing to do with you serving in war, as in
Yeah.
overseas, as in a combat zone, as in wearing fatigue, as in watching people die. That
Yes.
is not the same thing. That is
Mhm.
a 1 day, few hour event,
Yes.
traumatic as it may be. It is not serving tours in Afghanistan and Iraq and things like that. For you to even compare that
Mhm.
is fucking bullshit. It's privileged. It's fucking clueless. And it's disrespectful to every fucking veteran out there,
Yes.
including my cousin, who I'm going to get to. So that right there, let's not, there are so many sexual assault victims, like
Yeah.
Miss Mira said, like, I've been in those kind of situations as well. This isn't about that. That's an opportunist way to look at this. I'm sorry, be mad if you want. That's an opportunist way to be like, this is like my sexual assault.
Yeah.
There is a time and place for that. But it is Veterans Day. So if you're not going to talk about veterans, your email makes no damn sense. So
Yeah.
let's just stick to the topic and stop making it about you.
Yeah.
She has said so many times, January 6th effectively means we've been in war. No, it does not.
She doesn't know shit about war. She's not Assyrian children that have lost their homes, lost their families, and that are now refugees trying to make it through all of this crap. She hasn't lived in Afghanistan or Iraq for the last 20 years. And these children that have grown up in these traumatic situations, seeing their entire infrastructure that they had built completely decimated. She's not in Palestine, suffering under an Israeli rule that is apartheid and is genocide. It's such bad faith. And to take a moment like this on a day where it should be about our veterans. And what can we do to make their lives better? Because they went in their belief that they were doing something good for this country, and they felt that that's what they needed to do. Or because they are subject to this capitalist system and they are struggling and they are poor, it's one of the only ways that so many people in this country are able to pull themselves out of their horrific, housing situations and towns that they don't want to be in anymore. And maybe they go in because they want to educate themselves. They want to see the world. There's so many people that go in with good intentions. And then they see what it really is. And that's why we see so many that are struggling when they come back, because it's both physical and mental. And they're seeing the societal and cultural collapse that is occurring in these countries that they go to. They're probably being given orders that they don't want to follow because they're like, I don't want to hurt this person. There's so many complexities that go into it. And yeah, like you said, it's like, survivors is one thing, veterans is another. And it's like, what can we do to make their lives better? Because unfortunately, what we're seeing too often is that, like, let's talk about the burn pits and all of the cancers that these servicemen and women have been suffering from. And they are not able to get care through the VA because they don't recognize their symptoms.
Yep.
Why don't you talk about that, AOC? What are you going to do to help these people that are going into debt and bankruptcy because they have these mounting medical bills? And they're servicemen and women that gave their lives for this country. And now their families are going to suffer because we're not helping them.
I mean, what about the gentleman last few months ago, maybe last year, who literally committed suicide sitting on a stack of a waiting list for the VA, several phone books deep. He sat on it when he committed suicide. What about the gentleman who stood up at the Bernie rally and said, I hope I die because I have all that medical debt? Why aren't you talking about this? Why?
Yeah.
But you'd rather make it about yourself. And that's the problem.
Yes.
So, Andy, if you want to show the next post, the picture of my cousin, I'm going to give a trigger warning, but on, Veterans Day and days like this is, I have to talk about him. So trigger warning. This is my cousin, Jay Ducharme. He did 3 tours in Iraq. He did a tour in Afghanistan, and he helped in New Orleans. When he was 26 years old, the month before his wedding, he shot himself in the head. And my aunt, his mom, found him. He witnessed multiple of his brothers commit suicide overseas. He witnessed casualties get killed overseas. He left my aunt for months at a time, had no way to talk to her. She worried every single day. There was no communication. They couldn't talk. And when you're comparing one day in DC, in your city, to what my cousin and my aunt have been through with these after effects, and this is just 2 people out of how many? There are 22 J's every single day. And you're gonna fucking compare that? Fuck you, AOC. Like, straight up, fuck you. Because, no, you're not gonna equate that shit. You're not gonna equate. And, I can't speak for Jay. I don't know, because he's no longer here. But I can tell you, I don't know if he'd be a fan of you comparing everything he went through and everything he saw to a couple hours that you're making about yourself.
Yeah.
So stop equating these people's service and what they have done and risked and their PTSD from literally serving in war, real war, not, one day in Washington, D.C., like real war, dodging bullets, jumping over grenades so you don't have them explode on you. Things like that. You don't know what that's like. You don't. So fuck your comparison and rest in power, Jay, and much love to my aunt if she's watching.
Yes. And that's heartbreaking, and it shouldn't be that way. It's, yeah.
That's the thing. People, with stories like mine need to speak up and tell her this is not okay.
Yeah.
This is not, you cannot do that. You cannot be an opportunist and take away. There is no comparison. You can be traumatized from sexual assault and you could be traumatized from January 6th, but that does not mean it's the same kind of traumatized as people who have been in war. It doesn't have to be compared like that. Like,
well, and because it's unfair to compare them, because Brianna Joy Gray was talking about, with the whole like Chappelle thing. And one of the things that she brought up, she said like the oppression Olympics. And it's something that's stuck in my mind because it does seem like there are people that want to put their experience, above others that may have actually had it, worse. And that's where something like this, that it comes up in my head, because it's like, I'm not going to deny it was probably really, really scary. Like it's an insurrection and you have people coming in. It's a huge crowd. You don't know what's going to happen. I can give you it's really scary, but it's not the same as people with boots on the ground and being in these very high, intense, extremely violent situations that they're doing under the guise of, American freedom and we're bringing democracy and things like that. um, and especially because we know the the mental illness that comes from being in these kinds of situations, and that we don't have adequate mental health services in this country for anyone. But it's like, if we're going to have them for anyone, we should have them for our servicemen and women, because they're doing things that are not, I don't want to say not normal, but that's like the first thing that's kind of coming to my head. It's like they're in these high stress situations on a daily basis for years on end. And that's not good for your psyche. And we know that this has devastating effects in the long term, and that it's something that can go into, it affects your kids and your grandkids, because they're seeing this devastation and all of this stuff. And so it's just, I hate that she's trying to make this about herself. Like you said, the ego. It's there's always someone that has it worse than you. I grew up with that. Like, that was something my parents taught us all the time. It's like, you might think that you have it bad or we have it bad, but there's always someone that has it worse. And I wish it wasn't like this. Like, it's just shitty.
It is. It really is. And I don't anticipate her understanding this. I don't think she would have written it in the first place. And her campaign is obviously, too scared to tell her, or just as oblivious to say, this actually is kind of cringe and you shouldn't send it.
Well, it's more evidence that she doesn't have the people around her that are like us, that are the advocates, are the people that are struggling and trying to, make things work. And I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that, like, she changed a lot of her team, and now they come from a lot more of, like, establishment, Harvard and Columbia and Yale educated and things like that. And that's going to give you these upper middle, super elite class, affluent mentalities that are so divorced from reality of what's actually happening in these towns and in these communities where they have a lot of service members. And it's like, have you been on a military base, AOC? Like, have you been in the housing for military personnel? I used to live near Fort Ord in Monterey, and seeing the living conditions for them was atrocious. And I was just like, you guys are, like, you're supposedly getting helped, and this is the help that you're getting. It's awful. It's just awful.
Absolutely. Sorry for bringing it down, gang, but you know what? Had to be said.
We have to talk about these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Indy, you can hit the next one. Oh, can you read this?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Building back better means that no single mother, no working family, and no community is left behind. It's time to rebuild together.
Andy, can you actually show the next one as well?
Oh, gosh.
There you go.
I just donated to Pramila for Congress. Join
That's
me.
all you need to know.
Alyssa Milano, go fuck yourself. Jesus
That is literally all you need to know. Queen of the Shit Libs, Alyssa Milano, donated to Miss Progressive Caucus. That's all you need to know. I mean, a few months ago when Miss Pramila gave Biden an A as a grade as to how he's been doing so far. Also, Miss Pramila, who said, boasted about a 60 Medicare dropping to age 60 when fucking right as Hillary Clinton was okay with 55. She's fake as fuck. I called her out 2 years ago, but people still laud her as some progressive. Well, progressive is a pejorative lately.
Yeah.
That word means nothing to me. But yeah, look, that's all you need to look. she's being donated to by Alyssa Shalano. That says it all. I mean, I don't need to know anything else.
And Alyssa Milano, who like practically single-handedly brought down the Me Too movement because of, you know, the let's be all woke and go to the Kavanaugh trial. But when Tara Reid brings up her claims against Biden, crickets.
Well, y'all know it's about that time. Okay. SavageandPat.com, one of the main characters, Alyssa Shalano. And we talk about all that shit about how she is an awful person and how she destroyed the Me Too movement. And it feels so good to make fun of her. People say that her book is cathartic, and I'm very proud about that. I digress.
No, it's good. It's good.
Andy, you could go to the next one. I'm such a capitalist. I'm like, oh yeah, guys, by the way, look at my book. But it's Amazon free.
That's great. That's great.
So this picture kind of makes me want to gag because she just like, I don't know, she has an effect on me. But apparently the person who has never been elected yet ran, yet is still treated like a national treasure of a representative, Miss Stacey Abrams, is getting a Nobel Peace Prize.
So here's what I have to say about this. I don't care about the Nobel Peace Prize anymore since hearing that Bill Gates went to Epstein in order to try to get more positive influence with the Nobel Committee. If the Nobel Committee has anything close to do with Epstein, then fuck them all. Like this. I hate whatever this is that we are in. This is crazy to me. And I mean, it's just
like Bush got one, like Peace Prize. He started a fucking war. He got a Peace Prize. Fucking Obama. He's a fucking bomber of 7 countries. I mean, literally, Stacey Abrams worked for Neera Tantrum. She also worked for Michael Bloomberg's presidential campaign and took like $1 bajillion from him. She also didn't give a fuck about the DNC rigging the 2016 primaries, but now she's like this voting hero, even though she didn't win her own election. So I don't know, like, how many voter registrations? Okay, cool, voter registrations. Well, how about people like Bernard, who have been saying that for freaking decades? The day you turn 18, you're automatically registered. How about that? Let's do that. You're off election day. You're off. You're automatically registered to vote when you're 18. Period. End of story. There is no trying to get people. There is no, I got to switch parties because we're closed primary. There is no, you got to register by this date or you can't vote. Fuck that. You're 18. You're registered to vote. If you want to vote, cool. If you don't, oh well, you're still registered. How about trying to do that? Instead of like
too much logic, Joy.
Commercials and be like, oh my God, I got all these people to register to vote. Well, they still aren't winning elections. So what the fuck's the matter?
That's just too much logic.
That's true. That's true.
Because sadly, that's what this feels like. Everything that seems logical, that just feels like it would make the most sense, is the thing that they shit on the most. And then they want to, let's just make it more of a bureaucratic process and more red tape. And it's just like, so you're obstructionist. That's what you are. Because that's the thing. They want to maintain this capitalist structure because they're benefiting from it. And it's like, if you're getting nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, it means you're doing something right for them. And I don't trust you. Like, you've lost all credibility that you may have had with me, which she had really nothing. But yeah, it's just, it means that you're doing their bidding and you're not for us. And I'm done. And it's like, go away. I don't want to hear about you anymore.
Yeah, for sure. On that note, Andy, what's the next one? Oh, yeah. This just cracked me up. It was like, like, what did your fantastic dress get you? Not a damn thing.
It's an awful dress too. Like,
It's a wedding dress, really.
well, and didn't she get married?
She did?
I could have, I thought maybe someone was joking, but I feel like I saw somewhere that like a few months ago she got married to the like long-term boyfriend that she had had. I could totally be wrong.
The one that's accused of taking some of her campaign contributions. I don't know. I didn't hear that. But I feel like with her ego, she would have like definitely would have posted a lot, like of pictures.
True.
And on like more magazines and stuff.
Yeah, maybe like the Getty wedding. But yes, that whole thing was so out of taste, out of touch. Because it's like, if you were really a rebel rouser, if you were really wanting to cause a ruckus, you would not go to the Met Gala. Like, you would have gone, but been on the side of the people outside protesting. Like, that's where you should have been. Yeah. And had people dressed in black and masks carrying her train. I mean, she's elitist as fuck. And
Sure is.
Yeah.
Andy, you can show the next one.
However you stand on Kyle R., one of the most terrifying examples of white supremacy is how he walked directly at a bunch of cops with a loaded weapon while people screamed that he had just shot someone, and the cops started to drive away. Yeah.
I swear. I mean, I watched the video and, you know, it was so scary. It was, you know, obviously it was hard for me to see a lot of it, but the ending is what really, I mean, I felt physically sick when he's just walking right up there with the GUN. Gotta watch because they will take me down.
Yeah.
And the cops just go, move away. And somebody's screaming, he just SHOT someone. Oh my God. And they're just like, let's drive down here. I mean, literally just saw him, saw what he was holding, and drove away. That is so fucking scary.
Yeah.
What was your take when you first, presuming you saw that?
I will admit I do struggle with watching that kind of stuff. So I try to go through like transcripts and things like that when people talk about it. And the Kyle case has been one I've been looking at it, just not too much. There's so much shit going on in the world. It's crazy. But yeah, it's like, you know, we see someone like Tamir Rice, you know, a 13-year-old who had a toy gun, who was shot and killed indiscriminately. And yet he's just, you know, catered to and taken care of, and like precious baby and stuff like that. It's hard to be neutral, and it's hard to have that whole like, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty, because we do have this footage. And it's hard to say that he didn't go there with the intent to do these horrendous acts, because he decided to get in his car and drive, what was it, 2 states, and had the implement in his vehicle. It's such a miscarriage of justice. And for those innocent children that have been, you know, killed by police, it's those, I mean, these poor families that have to see this. And how, you know, the jury selection has gone, and the terms that the prosecution can't use. The people that were shot didn't have, you know, a chance to defend themselves. And so it's a difficult one, I'm not going to lie. And it's there, people don't want to hear it. There is a double standard. You know, if you're white, you're treated differently than if you're not white. And it's not to say every single individual cop is bad, but there's a lot more than just a few bad apples. And they promote this kind of thing by not having the same impetus to, oh, you're telling us this person shot someone, okay, we're gonna act. Like, you're beating up a homeless person who's not doing anything, but this kid running around with a thing around him, you're just not gonna care. Like, it sucks.
Absolutely. Andy, you can go to the next thing. We're gonna see what one of my favorite people, Tulsi Gabbard, has to say. She's not right wing at all.
Oh gosh.
Amir, can you read? Well, you could read her and then you could read my response.
Yeah, so Tulsi said, with no evidence, mainstream media and Antifa-loving politicians immediately labeled Rittenhouse as a white supremacist terrorist. It's obvious now that he was just a foolish kid who felt he needed to protect people and the community from rioters and arsonists because the government failed to do so. I feel like I have just like wiped my tongue with a razor. Like, I used to love Tulsi. I was a huge supporter of her. And that is just disgusting. And so you said, wow, anti-fascism is wrong. The police government failed to control the Black people protesting, is what it sounds like you're saying. To the murdered kid's parents, he was just a foolish kid. Hashtag aloha.
Like,
wow.
I mean, her posts get worse every fucking day. I'm hoping people are finally starting to wake up to her about it. I met her. I wrote her in as Bernie's VP in 2016. Like, I used to like her, but when she started running for president, I started learning a hell of a lot more about her, and she's a damn mess. And now I see why Richard Spencer endorsed her, because of this fucking racist ass bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, aloha what? Aloha, hello, fellow racist. And you're okay. Who the hell is a politician that is Antifa loving? What politician loves Antifa? Well, I was going to say Brother Cornell, but he's not a politician, but he does support Antifa because he'll give them shout outs because he knows it means anti-fascist. Mm-hmm. So just the fact that she's like Antifa loving, that is so right wing.
Well, and that has been very evident the last several months. That's the new base that she's catering to, unfortunately. And maybe that was always the base. I don't know. I feel like such a dip for believing her.
A lot of people did. And man, the Tulsa's fucking name.
I met her twice. I donated to her campaign. So did my husband. I have the, Tulsi for President sweatshirt. Oh, I feel like an idiot.
Well, you know what? Better late than never.
Yeah. I mean, the big one for me, like when I really started to change my thought process on her was when she was very silent in the Israel bombing Gaza earlier this summer. And then I was on her locals page and was kind of hoping, I'd see something, over some time, and it never happened. And so I took a moment to be like, I have been very supportive of this person. And even though she hasn't spoken on the Israel-Palestine conflict in previous times the way that I would like, it's one of those things where it's like, you say you're a progressive and that you've changed your views over the years. Maybe she'll change her views on this one. And so I put out a pretty lengthy comment to locals, and then I put it on Twitter because I was like, I want to be honest that I have supported this person, but that I no longer do, because you're being silent on something that I think is very important and that the rest of the world is looking at with just absolute shock and horrific, just like, what the hell are you guys allowing to happen here? And a few people were like, oh, hopefully she'll reach out to you and like, maybe provide some more explanation and things like that. She never did. But but it's really sad because I looked at her as someone that I was like, you're not the perfect politician, but you're the best one I've seen so far. And it's just, this is why we don't put them up on pedestals. We don't call them heroes. We hold them to account when they say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. We have to be honest about it and keep them credible, because if we don't, then and that's the sad thing with like AOC. It's like there's not enough, people on her base that are keeping her accountable, and she obviously doesn't have those people around her. And neither does Tulsi, and neither does Bernie. I mean, it's just we have no heroes.
Yep, absolutely. Andy, do you want to put up the next?
Maybe if we all start saying we hate Medicare for all, and it would be horrible and make our lives more miserable, and we are 100% against it, they'd consider giving it to us. I saw you tweet this, and I was like, yes, maybe we should try reverse psychology.
I don't fucking care. Let's do it. I don't care.
Maybe if we say Biden's a socialist enough times, we'll become one.
Oh my God, it's like Beetlejuice. Biden's a socialist. Biden's a socialist. Biden's a socialist. That'd be amazing. She'd be like social Super Sunday soaker. Like, the kids at the pool taught me about roaches. They used to like feeling my hairy legs as we would swim. And he'd tell more fun stories. And that was not me making fun of his stutter. I know it came out that way, but that was not me doing that. That was me making fun of the fact that he always says random shit for no reason.
Well, I was, when that whole thing came out of like, he has a stutter, be nice to him, he has a stutter. I'm like, first of all, since when? Like, and if that's true, okay. But it's also a thing of like, this guy has been in politics for 40 years. He is old. He is tired. This guy couldn't do a push-up to save his life. And yet he's like, oh, do a push-up contest with you. I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel like that whole thing of like, he has a stutter and feel sorry for him. It's just a way to make him some martyr, and he's a victim.
So endearing.
But you guys were pressuring Trump to take cognitive tests because you didn't believe that he was fit for the job. It's that whole it's a double freaking standard when it comes to the Democrats.
I mean, Biden can't even remember Obama's name. He's like president, my boss. And it's like he says, he says things that are really disturbing and disgusting, and then you call them out and they're like, it's a stutter. And it's like, research what stutter is. A stutter does not mean you say offensive things. You're thinking of like Tourette's or something. That a stutter is literally trying to pronounce a single word. And if you look back at videos, even as recent as like 3 years ago, he speaks eloquently. He does not, it's a different person. It is an absolute different person.
Yes. Something happened.
Stutters, but that ain't it. That is not what's happening. Yeah,
Biden has cognitive decline. He's got dementia. He's got, and it's, I had a family member actually say that they felt sorry for Biden because of these, like the mental decline that he's in. And I was like, he is the motherfucking president of the United States. And everyone was up in arms when Trump was in office, and the way that he pronounced words and forgot people's names, and the way that he, drank his water. I mean, CNN was doing that all flippin' day. But Biden's falling asleep during the climate. He's really nowhere to be seen when we're seeing these supply chain issues and inflation and, like, where is Biden? He's nowhere. And that's where it's like, I don't feel sorry for Biden for his mental instability. I the only part of me that feels sorry for him is from the human aspect of he is being used as a focal point from whoever else is around him that's controlling him, and they're using him to push their Clintonian policies further down our throats. And it's just like his wife and the rest of his family. I'm like, how could you do this to
Elder
to this
abuse. It is
person?
legit.
It is elder abuse, and it's awful. Like, as much as I dislike Biden, and I don't think that he should be in this position, I hold the people around him more accountable, because you should know that he doesn't have the capacity to be in this role, and that you're using him in such a nefarious way just kind of proves the point everyone was making about, we don't believe our elections, and we don't believe, what you guys are saying and doing, that you're bad faith actors and you're disingenuous. It's creating more of that nihilism and cynicism, and it's just going to make people so just down and out and not want to do anything, because it's like, well, what can I do? If we vote, it doesn't matter. If we don't vote, it doesn't matter. It's like, it doesn't matter. And that's a bad place to be as a society.
Absolutely. Indy, do you want to go to the next one? I think we just have a few more. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm going to be on the Fred Hampton Leftist General Strike Summit. Don't just watch just me. It starts Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It is 12 hours each day. So 36 hours of shows. I'll be on a couple. Sunday at 1 p.m. I will be with JB, one of my boys. And we will be on a disability panel talking about how you can still participate in strikes and in direct action being disabled. Then at 2 p.m. I'll be doing a show where I will welcome Liz Medina, who you guys may recognize. I had on. She is the head of the AFL-CIO in Vermont, and she's also an expert on labor movements back to the 1800s. And I'll also be welcoming Chuck Modi, who is a journalist / reporter who has been in the streets of every single basically protest every day for over 12 years. So we're going to have a really cool discussion from all different perspectives. So definitely tune in, Fred Hampton Leftist. There's going to be a lot of rad speakers, not just me. Andy, you can do the next one. So the next one I just put in because, the topic is the General Strike Summit. This is what I want to see. Right there. That's what I want to see. Yes, I know other countries have paid leave and have healthcare and stuff, and it's easier for them to do it. I 1,000,000,000% understand. I get that. But other countries know how to do shit. Us, we're like, maybe a few here, a few there. This is what we need right there. Are we ever going to get to that fucking point? I don't know. I thought it was going to come last year with the start of COVID and all the restlessness and everything. It never came, hopefully, because that's something they cannot ignore. Something that massive. So, fingers crossed.
Well, and that's why these workers' strikes are really important too, because they're doing a lot of actions that are very similar, it's not a full-on general strike, but it's definitely advocating for themselves and standing up for, we want better wages, we want more security, and we want good healthcare and all of that stuff. So I mean, it's been really awesome to see, like, from the Kaiser workers to now Starbucks, it's great. I love it. Be the rebel rousers. Cause a ruckus. Do what you got to do.
Bring a ruckus, guys. And I'm not just talking about a micro.
On both the macro and the micro for the knowns and the unknowns.
And even if it's in a little Easter egg. Bring
And
it,
the bird
guys.
bath.
Bring it. Mama Bear, doesn't give you permission, but that's okay. I won't tell her. Andy, you can do the next one. I'm not drunk, I swear. Okay. Can you read this?
Yeah,
This is
just
the last
just
section.
unfollowed about 30 people who love this. I disagree with some speakers this weekend, but if you think it's okay to trash a 3-day event by a Black network who is trying to bring justice, plus agree with anything that is this privileged, bad faith ass who always trashes activists says, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Andy, you can go to the next one. They kind of like all go together. So that's what I put. And Eon.
I think on his thing it said Owen.
Okay.
I think on his description it said it's pronounced Owen. So he says, I'm trashing quote unquote activists because I'm dismissing the involvement of Jimmy Dore and Nico House in this latest lefty scam that will be forgotten, just like the Medicare for all. Oh, I'm sorry. My dyslexia is messing with me.
So I mean,
Yeah.
that was a direct slide at me. He's attacked me many times, and he knows I was one of the lead national organizers on the 56 events, and he has attacked me time and time and time again. And yes, I stand by what I said, because guess what? I don't like everyone who's going to be on those 3 days either. I don't agree with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, I'm not about to disrespect a 36-hour event
Mm-hmm.
because I'm only choosing to pick 2 or 3 people I don't like. So I'm just going to trash the whole fucking thing. So yes, you are trashing activists.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what the fuck kind of scam? Who's charging admission? Our Medicare for All marches were free. This is free. What are you talking about? You are the one that gets paid for your hot takes on Twitter, dude. None of us poor folk make a damn dime. So,
right.
Like, I wish I got paid.
Right.
No, I don't. And it's not fair. I'm going on strike. Fuck that.
I mean, doing this is not lucrative. I mean, if anything, a lot of us are spending more money than we're making.
Oh my God. Like, if he wants to talk about a scam, I will send him receipts of my $1,000 or almost $3,000 porta pot rental, of my $3,000 fucking sound system rental. This is just for DC, Medicare for All march.
Yeah.
And no, we did not raise all that back. And we had 56 of them. So if you want to talk about, like, not only did we not make money, we are actually in debt because of doing these things. So chickadee check yourself. Andy, you can go to the next one.
I stand by what I said. You don't have to like everyone or agree with everyone to fight for the issues. The activists I was referring to are at Fred Hampton Left, who have been in the streets a million times more than you. So stop punching down for once. We're having in-depth.
Andy, can you go to the next one?
We're having in-depth discussions with union leaders, journalists, disabled folks, #mutual aid activists, etc. all weekend. I know it gets more likes to bash us, but try posting something of substance. Bravo.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing besides sitting on Twitter? Not a damn thing.
Well, and it's one of those things where it's like, you can't just have a revolving door of people that only think and talk like you. like, if you want and if you care about actual change, it means that you're willing to come to the table for people that you don't always agree with and that you're going to have some, adverse, animosity with at times. But that's what gets you past actually making change and creating what we're like, for us with this, General Strike Summit and people that are truly into indie left media and wanting to promote activists and mutual aid work and organizations that are actually on the ground. It means that you're going to be seeing some people that don't think or look or act like you, but we all have the same goal. And this just kind of shows that they don't have the same goal, that they're not the good faith actors. And like you said, they're just getting paid to tweet. Must be nice. But it's like, do you go to bed at night feeling good about yourself? Because at least I wouldn't. Like, yeah. That's my little rant.
You don't care. Andy, can you go to the next one? So this is what set off. Okay, so I asked Owen for a debate many times over the past few months. He's never responded, but he had to have seen it because I've put it in his comments. I've tweeted it at him directly. Well, I tweeted this and he didn't interact in the comments. So I know for a fact he saw it. Problem was, I tagged a dude who had 3 letters difference in his name. So what happened was, Owen, the guy I tagged didn't say anything disrespectful, to be fair. But then Owen, a whole bunch of blue checks and a whole bunch of shit libs come in and start calling me a fucking idiot, calling me stupid, everything like that, because I typed the wrong name. Now, there are literally 3 letters different in their names / ats. Okay? And I'm 85% fucking blind. So I'm going through. Owen knows I'm fucking blind because I've told him 85 times, no pun intended, every fucking time he attacks me, for wanting Medicare for all and stuff like, oh my God, you're disabled and want Medicare for all, you dumb bitch.
You're a horrible person.
I know, I am, but at least I admit it. So that's the first step. So I'm looking through these comments and all these people are just trashing me and making fun of me for spelling the name wrong. And they're like, oh, your debate's off to a good start, dumbass, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like just posting this screenshot of a yellow arrow pointing to my handle, which literally says mostly blind. And it's like, y'all call yourselves journalists and you're not even reading my fucking handle. So either they're oblivious and suck at what they do, yes, or they're ableist, also yes. So I'm going through these comments and I'm just sharing the screenshot with the yellow arrow like I'm fucking blind. Like, give me a break. Not a single person deletes their attack on me. None of them. And they just keep going. And I'm like, you know what? This is why blue checks get a bad name. This right here. This is fucking hateful. It's ableist. It's disgusting. And like, my mistake literally took all, the hype away from me asking him for a debate to now me being stupid because I tagged someone with 3 letters difference in their name. So now this guy says, please delete this post because, people are coming at me saying, you want to debate and it's not me. So when I found out he was a real POS too, I never heard of him, but I said, fine, that's, I apologize. Absolutely. I'll take it down.
Yeah.
But the problem is now I made a new post and I challenged Owen again and he's not responding. So the fact that I had to delete this, it gives him a leeway to say, well, I was going to respond and she deleted the post and just say he hasn't seen my new one. He could feasibly do that. And that's totally something he would do.
Well, and I honestly think that, had you tagged the correct person, they still would have found something to call you names and try to belittle you and negate, the seriousness of your, hey, let's do this. Like, let's have a debate, let's have a conversation. Because it means that you have to stand up for what you're saying. And when people are called to the mat, it really does show who they are and what they're willing to do and what they stand up for. So I'm really sorry you had to experience that. That's awful. And it's one of those things where it's like, maybe Twitter should provide the edit button to people that need it.
That's what I said to someone. I'm like, well, tell Twitter to fucking edit. Like, what the fuck you want me to do?
Yeah, come on, Twitter. Be nice to the people that need help when it comes to these apps that they can't see properly.
Exactly. Like, what? Oh my God. So is he going to take me up on it? I see there's like a -0 chance. But that's
he
okay,
won't. I wish
can't
he
do
would,
it.
but he won't because he doesn't have a freaking leg to stand on.
Like what is he gonna say though? What is he gonna say? He will say whatever, but his sycophants, he has like 300,000 followers and I have 22,000. I mean, I would get destroyed in the comments. Like, I know that, I get it, but at the same time, I'd be bringing the substance. I'd be saying, like,
Yeah.
I'm disabled and still get out in the street and fight for something while you sit there and punch down at people who literally do something. So fuck you.
And him allowing his stands to kind of fight his battles for him too. It's like it shows who you really are.
Absolutely. And I think all we have left are a few funny memes, I believe. I try to end it on some
nice,
silly ones.
If I don't turn it into a joke, it will destroy me.
Come on, guys, it's funny. Andy, you can go to the next one.
I am Antifa. So I actually have a really horrible fear of like Sesame Street Muppets and stuff.
Oh my God, change it, Andy, change it. So you're not a furry. Okay.
Oh gosh.
You kind of have crazy eyes though, I'm not gonna lie.
Like Big Bird and the Cookie Monster are like two of the creepiest ones for me.
Andy, change it. No, we do that on purpose.
I'm just gonna look away until it goes away.
Oh my God.
I'm a lion boy. I'm a lion boy.
I cannot. I don't know. Somebody put a McDonald's, like a McDonald's French fry container like this over there. And I was like, holy shit, they do look like French fries. But I am obsessed. I had no idea who they were. And someone showed them. And I swear, I was like, if they didn't have ink, I'd swear they were 12. But apparently they're 20. And I'm an island boy. Like that, it just gets stuck in your head, and I'm obsessed with how horrible it is. It's just absolutely horrible. So
that
shout
someone
out to
took
Tommy
the time
John
to
for
make
making
this.
What's
Yeah,
that?
sorry, go ahead. I was saying that someone took the time to make this is hilarious to me.
Yeah, Tommy John, love you.
Nice.
Who makes the absolute best memes. I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's all
great.
she wrote, right, Andy? I think that's it. Damn, we did a long show. Holy
That was fun. I had a blast. Thank you so much, Joy. This was great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Andy, for for being the engineer. I appreciate it as always. Please tell us, Amir, where we can, find your writing and follow you on Twitter and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I have my personal account, which is at Amira B. Napier, my blog account, which is at Endemic Times. So my blog is called Endemic Times because that's pretty much what we're living through right now. You can find that on Substack. I just recently got all of my pieces up on there. I also have endemictimes.com if you don't use Substack, and that's where I have all of my work. I'm working on a piece right now on propaganda in the media in kind of the 2020 age. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of this month, but if not, it'll definitely be in December. And I also do the panels every other week on the Populist Voice Network on Wednesdays and then on FHL. And I'm hoping to also start my own YouTube channel in a little bit. So, yeah.
Okay, because me and Andrew were like texting and we're like, she needs to start something, even if it's like once a week.
I do.
Yeah, like
this background behind me, like I started this a year ago. Like I have been very slow in my getting my tech together because I don't have a huge budget. I'm having to keep things very, very simple. But I'm hoping to start something soon. It's just I'm doing so much on my own because I don't have a lot of like resources to my availability at this point. But I'm definitely going to be reaching out to.
Is green screen, which is a green piece of fabric. For the stand and the green piece of fabric, I paid $30, and then the mic I use is it's called a snowball mic. Oh, okay. That's literally all I use except for my computer. That's it.
Nice. So, I had a camera, so I was like trying to like hook that up and all of that stuff. I'm a bad perfectionist. Like I want things to be like perfect, and it's like, nope, you just gotta rip the Band-Aid and you just gotta do it. So
oh God, out of 4.5 years of shows, I can only imagine. Oh God, some of them I'm sure are really fucking bad.
but like you said, it's about the substance, and you do such a great job. And I love your attitude and your take on things. It's great. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining, and I will definitely be asking you back in the future. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like, hit that share. And please also subscribe to me on Rockfin. If you are not on Rockfin, it is free. The difference is they don't have an algorithm, and you can actually give tips there as well. So while I'm not monetized on YouTube, if you want to give a $2 tip or what have you on Rockfin, you can click that button. And it just helps with our like streaming fees and such like that. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Also, please remember, next 3 days, Fred Hampton Leftist, 36 hours of general strike panels. So again, thank you so much, Amira, and thank you so much, Andy, and much love to everyone watching.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.